Welcome to my channel! The Ugly Duckling. One beautiful summer day, Mrs. Duck was sitting on her nest, eagerly waiting for her eggs to hatch. First one shell cracked open and out popped a little duckling, then another and another, until there was only one large egg left in the nest. Mrs. Goose was walking past, and when she saw the large egg, exclaimed, "That one must be a turkey egg." Mrs. Duck was very worried, but at last the big egg cracked open and popped up the ugliest duckling you ever saw. "Oh dear, I wonder where you came from," sighed Mrs. Duck. "You had better come along with us." The family was going swimming. She jumped into the water and the little ducklings followed her. The Ugly Duckling also jumped in and paddled along happily with his family. Mrs. Duck was a good teacher, and before long the ducklings were swimming quite well and happily splashing each other. Everyone is happy except the Ugly Duckling. Her brothers and sisters kept pushing him out of the way and telling him to go away. Thought they had had enough practice. For one day, Mrs. Duck called her children and off the farmyard they went. Everyone in the farmyard stopped to talk to Mrs. Duck and her family. They were very nice to the yellow ducklings, but not so nice to the poor, ugly duckling. They teased him, and when Mrs. Duck was not looking, they pecked at his neck. He was very unhappy. He couldn't understand why nobody liked him. Even his brothers and sisters called him ugly and clumsy and would not play with him. The Ugly Duckling decided to run away from home. Nobody loved him. He ran until he reached the edge of the pond where the wild ducks swam. They said he could fly south with them, but his wings were not strong enough. Wild ducks were setting off on their journey south when they suddenly heard a dog barking and a gun going off. "Quick, we must fly before the hunters get us." The Ugly Duckling was very scared. He tried to hide in the reeds. A huge gun dog appeared and sniffed him. He was terrified that the dog would eat him, but the dog only gave a loud bark and ran back to his master. The Ugly Duckling quickly paddled across the pond and jumped out on the other side. "Suppose the dog thought I was too ugly to eat. Thank goodness," said the Ugly Duckling. The Ugly Duckling was beginning to feel very hungry. He was searching for something to eat when he came across an old shack. "Good day," said an old woman who was standing in the doorway. A cat and a hen were sitting at her feet. "You must be tired and hungry. Come inside and I will give you something to eat." The cat and the hen stared at him, and as they didn't bother him, he went inside. After he had eaten, the cat and the hen started asking him questions. "Can you lay eggs?" asked the hen. "No," said the duckling. "Can you catch a mouse?" asked the cat. "No," said the duckling. The old woman looked at the Ugly Duckling and said, "What can you do?" "I don't know," replied the duckling. "Well, you can't stay here and do nothing." The duckling realized they had no use for him and left the shack. Later, he saw a large flock of beautiful birds swimming on the lake. "I wish I could look like that. They are the most beautiful birds I've ever seen." When they flew away, he was sadder than ever before. He so wished he could fly with them. The Ugly Duckling lived alone on the pond for a long time. Then one day it grew very cold, and he had to swim fast to keep warm. It had been a hard day, and the duckling was so tired he fell asleep while sitting in the water. In the morning when he awoke, the pond had frozen over and the poor Ugly Duckling was stuck. He sat there shivering until a man came along, broke the ice, and rescued him. The woodcutter took him home and warmed him up near the stove. At first, the man's children were very kind to him. Then they started teasing him and calling him names. It was winter time, and rather than live near the frozen pond, the little duckling stayed where he was. He tried so hard to make friends with the children, but they did not want him to be their friend. The winter months passed, and the duckling decided to leave the woodcutter's home. He went back to the pond where he had seen the swans in the autumn. They had returned. "Oh, please, may I swim with you?" he asked the swans. As he spoke, he saw his reflection in the water. What a surprise! He was no longer an ugly duckling, but a beautiful swan. He was so happy when they invited him to stay with them. Proudly, he joined the other swans swimming on the pond. Some children came to see the swans. "Oh, look, there is a new swan. Isn't he beautiful?" The new swan ruffled his feathers with pride. Yes, the ugly duckling had grown into a beautiful white swan.